Alright, I hope you can hear me. Hello, hello, hello. Are we live? Are we doing it? Is it hashtag happening? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hi, is my fan too loud? Are the sound levels where they need to be? Hello, Terechama. Yes, we can. Much like the slogan says. Maglor Melwansul. Excellent. Excellent. Hello, everyone. Sounds normal. Excellent. We got our badger hide figured out. Yes, I have a house, but I didn't actually build the house. Someone else built the house for me. So, hello, everyone. A little late due to unforeseen circumstances. But here we are. Pretty soon I'll have a chicken coop. Yes, actually, in fact, let's make that our goal of the day. Let's try to get a chicken coop for the day. Exactly. Pay no attention to the sound of the sad child in the background. So, how y'all been? It's been a while since the June stream. What's up? How y'all doing? What are we doing? What has been going on with my character? We're out of curios as usual. That's one thing. We don't have a lot going on, it seems. Let's harvest some dreams. Oh, man. We won't get a wall again. What do you mean we won't get a wall? Not with that attitude. We're not going to get any walls. Should probably be a better way of harvesting dreams. Should probably rework that mechanic. So, hi everyone. It's been a while since we did the last stream. Coming to you live from steaming, scorching hot Sweden. I don't know if you follow Swedish news much, but we have like a ton of forest fires raging in this country right now. And since we apparently spend all our money on, I don't even know what these days, like gender bending and I don't know, tourism from strange foreign countries. We apparently don't have much in way of firefighting planes and that kind of nonsense anymore. So apparently they've had big troubles taking out the forest fires. So the chief of the forest fire, Dan Eliasson, famous Swedish chief of public offices, he was on TV the other day and said that they'd basically given up. They were not going to they were not going to extinguish any fires. But now we've had some rain. It's still hilariously hot though. It's ridiculous. This is like the warmest summer I can ever imagine in this land of otherwise icy cold. And by like 30 plus degrees Celsius for like almost since May, it's honestly brutal. Let's go. I think it's just time to study this brilliant, truth be told, emerald. I think we're just going to study it. I don't think we're going to... I'm tired of lugging it around. We're just going to study it. Still have the nerve damage thing, so we should probably check out any ancient wind throws we may know of. But honestly, I think checking out maybe this grassland down here and checking over here for some... Check that heartwood tree, check this grassland. I think that's going to be our goal, our immediate goal. See if they're... Actually, do I know of any rings? Like any... Could I make like the beast ring thing? Yes, I could actually. Let's make that instead. Okay. Okay. You convinced me. Alright, definitely keeping it then. We need 3 fine bone and a piece of string, because apparently this ring is tied together with a piece of string. That's how that works. So, yeah, no, terribly hot in Sweden. Don't even know where to start. A bit too hot for my blood. Like, it's too hot for Loftar's blood. That's about like, as soon as it hits plus 20 degrees Celsius, that's too hot for him. But this is starting to push it even for me. So, especially since it's been going on for so long now. I don't mean, let's orient ourselves correctly. It's always important. been going on for so long, you know? It's been going on since May. That is unusual. And yeah, I went swimming the other day in a nearby lake. In fact, in 2 nearby lakes. And let me tell you, it was like, you know, a pool. It was like a swimming pool. It was not, you know, usually you jump into a lake expecting to get kind of cold. But that was not my experience the other day when I went. But I mean, we shan't complain. Winter in Sweden is always #coming and always abysmally long and cold and dark. So, you know, on some level, I suppose I'm grateful and enjoy it. But man, some farmers, apparently, I can only imagine, have been hit pretty hard. I heard they were like taking a bunch of animals to like premature slaughter just because there was not enough, you know, food for them, because the grass hadn't been growing properly since there's been basically no rain since May and blah blah blah. So yeah, rough times. Jordan Colsey asks, is it possible to have custom markers appear on the minimap as well? Anything is possible if you can dream it, Coles. Hey, look, that stump right there decayed into one of the old abandoned stumps. That is interesting. Anything is possible if you dream well enough, Coles. Is that a feature you would like very much? We got a little mole. We can't pick up moles here. Correction. So yeah, it's been really hot. And I've been taking a lot of swims in nearby lakes. And that's pretty much it. Bit of a summer vibe going on. So I was watching the other stream that I did, the previous stream, and I maybe I'm flattering myself, but when I was kind of watching it, I felt that, you know, one of the better segments of that was just me talking about the. Oh, that sounds horrible. One of the better segments was me talking. But I felt that it was, and I perceived that many of you felt the same, that it was interesting when I talked about the mammoth skeleton and all the stuff that I could do with that. So arguably, I should be showing you something technical, and, you know, something a little bit behind the scenes, and attempt to talk in a passionate and interesting way about that. So one of the features we added, Eustace Baggy asks, why do you hate us? This world is cold and boring now. I don't remember it ever being this bad, and I played worlds 2 to 7. I mean, that land is owned by someone. It's unfortunate. I can certainly feel you. Like the world, I'm not gonna pretend that the world isn't old, and I'm also not going to pretend that it doesn't have problems, because it does. I'm thinking chiefly about the food. That being said, I mean, I'm just going to reiterate what I have been saying over the last couple of streams. We're not in a position to do any sort of world reset yet, so even if I wanted to, I couldn't. So really, that is the end of the story on that point. And we're going to do one at some point, I imagine, but when, how, is not something that I know yet. So it's not that I hate you, it's just that in conversation with Marx, the objective material factors determining the dialectic for the world reset are not in place yet. Something to that effect. Plus, I think there are some merits to an old world. Ruin diving is fun. I think also I think kind of watching the development of the qualities a little bit and all that nonsense can probably give us better ideas for the next world, I hope. Speaking of which, siege system. Very tired of the whole shield mechanic. Want to get rid of that entirely. And Yeah, I want to get rid of the shield mechanic, and I'm actually thinking going back. Going back in the direction of the Ardance TV. No, I still have your PM open, intending to respond to it. And the same is true for Kebermek, who sent me a PM, a long-ass PM about the May stream, I believe. I haven't gotten to yet. So, but I think you guys' 2 PMs are the only ones I still have left unanswered. So I try to respond to PMs in a somewhat timely fashion. Eustace Baggy, that is no problem at all, sir. I do not mind you asking the question. So one of the features that we added in a recent patch was apparently the ability to draw water from these kinds of deep tiles right next to you, where you can't actually walk into the... and I could do it, but I still got the silly warning message. Is that a thing? That's good. It's nice that I can draw water from those tiles. Didn't used to be able to do that, but we need to make a note to no warning to enter deep water when drawing water from deep tile. But yeah, if you see any chickens, let me know. We're gonna attempt to build a chicken coop and get our coop on. Ardance TV says, communism mechanics for kingdoms, when? What would those be? Like the right to murder any, let's brainstorm. The right to murder any citizen of the realm without leaving assent, without it being considered a crime. You only leave a crime of statistics when you do. Paraphrasing the famous quote by Joseph Stalin, that the death of one man is a tragedy, but the death of 1 million is a mere statistic. It's pretty cold. It's pretty cold, Ardance. Is that the kind of haven you would like to see for the future? Jordan Cozy says, could you let us drop coracles in deep water like that as well? What do you mean? Put them down, like, in front of you? That might be maybe more difficult. Can't you lift coracles? And if you can lift them, can't you place them as you would any object? Whoa! Whoa! Ho, ho. We got the leads, boys and girls. Found some hardwood leads. I think if we find an ancient root, which we need anyway for curing our nerve damage, I think we could make a druid's ring if we had the prerequisite druid's skill. How many learning points do we have? We have a bunch. Oops. Ah, boy. Let's start the forager credo as well, just in case. Bridges for wagons, horses, carts, when, says Roman Nojv. I think the development, the future of development is pretty clear in my mind. I want to finish up the goddamn client rewrite. Sorry, I should not take the Lord's name in vain. Don't do as I do, but do as I say. But we need to finish the client rendering rewrite. That's our first priority, and once that's done, our next big project, I imagine, would be object control objects. Object control objects being something I've discussed here and there, but the basic gist of the idea is that we want to make it so that objects can have a more clear ownership relation of other objects, and if we did that, we could create surfaces on those objects upon which it would be possible to walk. So with that, we could, for example, make a bridge, or and I think when we've discussed it, I think we could make pretty cool and kind of arbitrary things like bridges between like possibly over a ridge even, or stuff like that. So something that I'm fairly excited about, looking forward to, and something that would be kind of cool to have. So, but client rendering rewrite is the first thing. How's the client rendering rewrite coming, you ask? I ask myself, or rather I ask Lofter that same thing every week, and we were hoping to have it done end of July. I'm not sure we'll have it done by the end of August, but I do get the impression though that we are making some sort of progress. So honestly, if you want the full, lowdown on what's going on with that, you would have to ask Lofter himself. Romanoj, how would you pronounce that? Here to spare you the pronunciation. Do you find developing the game fun after 10 years? Yes, absolutely. We're finally getting someplace. Absolutely, sir. It's never been more fun, honestly. Like, I don't know, I think we're starting to get like to a baseline with the game where we have all the features, like where we finally have, so to speak, like all the pieces, various pieces of this game that we've kind of identified in Salem and in Old Legacy, and obviously there are things missing, like the fighting system and the siege system are not like where they need to be, and there are definitely pieces missing. But I feel that we're starting to establish, and I think over the coming, say, 2 or 3 years, I definitely think we could establish a really good baseline for the game, a really good, like, just gold standard of what the game can and is and ought to be, where the game has enough gameplay that you can actually play it for the game that it is, rather than, as I have perceived the case to be the case a lot more previously, that you play the game a lot for its kind of potential, or the potential that you saw in the game. But I'm starting to feel that because I've played my character since World Start, and I'm obviously not finished, and with everything that I want to do and can do in the game. And sure, a lot of that is just the credos. I haven't gotten all the credos yet, but there are still some legitimate things that I haven't done otherwise, like hunting trolls and blah, blah, blah. So I'm only rocking a noobish character, but can't wait to show you my base, by the way, when it no longer matters to do so. So I would love to show you my base and show you all the things that I've been doing. Blah, blah, blah. Ordance TV says, Jordan Colsey says, 2018 still no shock frogs. Shaking my head. Yeah, that's true. Amanda H&A says, talking about NARS, are you aware that accessing the cargo is problematic with the drifting mechanic? Oh, no, I was not aware. Sorry about that, but I could imagine that being a problem. Cargo, NAR, drift. Amanda, you're going to get me killed by a boar. Ardens TV says, after object control objects, I think you should dedicate a few patch rotations to building an extensive tutorial system using quests and events that explain the core mechanics of the game to new players with the option to just abandon. I mean, I get what you're saying, that you want like a more extensive tutorial, but I'm not 100% sure that you really know what you're asking. Tutorial systems require a lot of maintenance to stay relevant. Like anytime you change any mechanic that's even vaguely related to the tutorial, even now the tutorial quests that we do have are kind of outdated in many ways, I feel, or I believe. I haven't played through them in a pretty long while, so I wouldn't really know, but just outdated, and every time you add something, you have to ask yourself, is this a core concept, is this not a core concept, blah blah blah. I don't know. I think we did one thing that we had in Salem were the help topics that you could unlock as you played the game. I didn't just hate that. That was had its sides, I guess. I thought that worked okay-ish. But man, a full-blown tutorial, you're killing me, dog. Do we really have to? Is it really necessary? I mean, I know that the game is obscure. I know that there are a lot of things in the game that is really obscure, and that if you hadn't If you hadn't always just known about it and always just played the game, you wouldn't know. Like as we were talking about earlier, like just placing objects from the placing objects when you carry them overhead, and you can right-click them to get a placement mode for them. That is really obscure. Like how would you know that you're supposed to right-click the goddamn? Messed up again. Sorry about that. But how would you know that you're supposed to click the right-click the thing? You wouldn't. Okay, I see an excellent opportunity here to steal some Aurochs here. Hair. Gotcha. You wouldn't know that. Hey, look, I found some pottery. Let's bring one home. What's the quality of this? 10. Killermech, the man I owe 8 PM response. Any thoughts on touching the combat system before the world reset? The world reset. You speak of the world reset as if it were an established fact. I'm not sure I like this. But yeah, I mean, sure, we'd love to. It's just I would love to. Like, I realize that it needs to be that we need to do something about it, and I think in terms of projects that are not like fundamentally new developments or whatever, like disregarding things like object control objects and disregarding things like the client rendering rewrite. I think the fighting system is obviously the most lackluster part of the game. The broken food maybe aside, but the food I feel is more a problem of variables than of fundamentals, so to speak. Whereas with the combat system, I'm really not sure. It's also that I'm really not sure where we need to take it in order to make something viable. Building a relevant and meaningful combat system has proven a bit of a challenge, and I can't say, I mean, first of all, it's a big task, it takes a lot of time. Ugh, I hate listening to myself. I sound like I'm always just making excuses like that. Oh, it's so hard, it takes so much time, blah, blah, blah. That's true. Some of that is true. It is hard. It does take some time. Like last time we worked on it, we spent like a month plus. Earlier this year, we spent like a month-ish on the combat system. And we thought we had something pretty decent, pretty good, but we got sabered down pretty hard on that point. So, and for good reason. Like, it's not that I'm complaining about the fact that we got shitty feedback. That's probably what we deserved, but it also kind of sucks to spend like a month in the tank working on something and then coming back out and it just not being up to snuff. Because the real problem is the testing. And honestly, I'm sure there are a ton of good arguments to be made here that, oh, you should involve the community more, blah, blah, blah. And, it's really hard to, there we go again. It's really hard, man. You can't do nothing, man. It's really hard. Mañana, señor. I'm just explaining my frustrations. It's, hello, Aussie Swagger. Like a couple of times we've tried things like, doing write-ups on systems that we may plan to implement. And just putting the write-up on the forum, trying to get some feedback before we go crazy with an idea. Like usually the response is like somewhere really just in the middle, somewhere really in between. It's like people either, sometimes even it's hard for an outsider to have an opinion when they don't know every exact detail of what we're planning to implement, especially when, yes, we ourselves don't know every tiny detail of the timing of every little aspect of the combat system. There is a ton of stuff that comes up during the actual, building of it, not during like some design phase that's prior to the actual building, but like the implementational details that come up when you sit down and, start, really hashing out the system. And, stuff like that, it's hard to like get an early input on that. It's hard to, because it's such an, it's a process there and then, really. It's not really, you know, the latency in trying to get forum feedback, especially when, you know, you don't know who to listen to. Like, everyone and their mother is gonna have an opinion on, you know, what the game should look like. But I have to feel that we're the only ones who can really carry a vision into the game, so to speak. And so it kind of comes down to us to I suppose it comes down to us to deliver on a good combat system, and we haven't succeeded in that yet. But it's definitely one of my main ambitions, that I would like to have a good combat system in Haven, because it would be a lot of fun if we could have. And yeah, and also, I mean, I realize that, you know, for a new world, it would be it would really suck to go into a new world with the only change being, like, you know, two things other than the combat system. It would really suck to go into a new world with this exact combat system that we have now. So we definitely want to touch on the combat system at some point. But yeah, a lot of things that we want to do, only so many hours of the day, only so many devs on the game, blah blah blah. We're only 2 people. You know how it goes. Let's eat some. Find some stats here with our shitty food. I don't care. Boom. Got the dexterity there. Riverslide says, I don't want a wipe, lol. There's always those people, right? Like, not everyone wants a wipe. Flyrella says, make a votes on suggestions and consider only those with high number of votes. Like, first of all, I'm not a huge fan of democracy. Like, I don't think that the democratic process is necessarily the way to find truth, justice, and I was about to say the American way, but I mean the American way is what you find when you go down the route of democracy, and I think the hellscape of modernity kind of speaks for itself on that point. Wouldn't it be nice if you could put gems into purses? Wouldn't it be really nice if you could put gems into purses? I think that would be great. Gems and purses. Now see, starting the slippery slope. First it was only coins, then it's coins and gems, and then it's coins and gems and other slightly valuable things. And suddenly, before you know it, there's a whole specific list uglying up the server of items that go into specific types of containers. Rings in purses, exactly. Jewelry in purses. Suddenly, you know, anything goes in purses. Napkins in purses. Riverslide says, will there ever be an Oliver branch type item? No, but an olive branch type item is a great idea. I'm glad I thought of that. Olive branch keyword. That would be fun. Should definitely do that. You can combine that with a pigeon to get, I don't even know what. Fingini says, nuggets, mushrooms, belts, and hats in purses. When? Exactly, that's what I'm asking. Do you not think that the current way the game works assumes that periodic world resets are a thing? Would you consider periodic resets with some statistics shown at the end, like strongest player, biggest faction, a slideshow of world map dominance? If and when we do the world reset, I definitely think we should consider posting the political map. We have a political map of what the respective kingdoms, you know, control and blah blah blah. So I'm not at all opposed to producing that information. It's just that it's a little bit of work producing that information, and like here's the thing. Like there are a lot of there's a million small things in the world. And small things that individually cost 0 to no dev time to produce, or, you know, at least very relatively little. But there is some amount of overhead in, like, keeping the fullness of everything that is required, you know, actually publishing it, actually developing that data, actually publishing those statistics, especially for a world like, okay, so let's say hypothetically we're going to launch a new world. Let's say that. Ooh, here are chickens and hens. Then, you know, how long do people care about the stats from the old world? It's like 2 minutes and then they're on to bigger and better things, right? I'm not sure it's worth our dev time, is what I'm saying, to develop that. But it could be. I could be wrong. Like, I could easily be wrong. Quality matters on Coops now, right? It's another thing that the game communicates kind of poorly. Quality matters on Coop. I'm thinking. Right, I have a gate there. So Hujutsu123 asks or says we need a skybox. Larger rendering distance. Right now, I can almost guarantee you if we implemented a longer rendering distance or increase the rendering distance, I think the client would come to a screeching halt pretty quickly. Don't think we can extend it by much without getting into massive performance problems, at least not naively. I think that would require a lot of work in terms of I mean, we can implement a skybox, that would be easy, but that would be easy peasy, but I don't know, implementing a skybox, at least this is kind of Loftar's standard argument against it, is that if we implement a skybox, then we make it appear as if the bad sucky cam is an actually supported game mode, and as long as we don't do that, we don't have to, you know, always support it. And if we decide to support it, we run into some troubles there. So what do I need for the chicken coop exactly? Maybe some skills? Maybe animal husbandry? Haha! Ha 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 ha! Here we go. We can do this. 20 boards, 10 blocks. How is my inventory so big? I got a traveler sack from someone. Someone dropped by and gave me one, so that's one reason. And I think my account is also verified, so that's another reason. Jordan Cozy asks, whatever happened to the dev statue the winner of Last World was meant to get for dying on the altar? I think we still know who died there, so I think we're supposed to to make that one and hand it out. I'm not sure what we decided on that or why we decided not to make, but I think we have a backlog not only of the world with the altar, but of the world before that as well. So I think we have a bit of a backlog there. Dakan says, do you dislike the bad cam? I noticed, aside from the name, that you were disgruntled when the player submitted screenshots were first posted. Many were with bad cam. Like, almost all screenshots in the player feed are made with the bad cam. So, many of them also with shadows turned off, which I think is just egregious. But, yeah, no, it's like, the game is kind of intended to be played from this angle at, like, this resolution, looking, I mean, a lot of the assets, frankly, like, don't hold up under closer inspection. That's one thing. And another thing is, like, if you use the bad cam, you're staring out into a black void where, the map grid is clearly visible and all that nonsense. And for that reason, we don't consider it like a supported camera or whatever. It's not a camera that we aim to support, but it's more like a camera we have. Me personally, I don't really have a strong opinion on it either way. Like, I could play with this, I could play with the bad cam probably, I could play with anything, I could play through an old straw. I've played DOS games, so like I have no standards, but Loftar doesn't like it for those reasons that we don't really support it well. Like, we don't, you can see the map grids, the map border is very clearly visible. The rendering distance is not very long, blah blah blah. That being said, like, we've definitely discussed it, and like, on our list of things that would be epic and glorious for the game long term, like increasing the rendering distance to the point where you can actually see the horizon and look out over the mountains and, see a really cool skybox with like a generated sky and stars at night and all that jazz would be really awesome. Like, that would be really cool. So and having the whole first-person perspective. I think one reason Haven, exploring the world in Haven is not always as much fun as I would like it to be, and I think one reason for that is that you're always looking down on your character. That this is something that this is a thought that I've had for some time. Like, you're always looking down at your character. He's always center of screen, so a lot of times it feels like you're seeing kind of the same thing. Whereas, like, with some sort of first-person, maybe like from behind World of Warcraft style perspective, I think would work really well. And then you'd see the horizon and all that jazz. But that would require some major infrastructure changes, especially since, like, we can't, or at least we don't right now. Like, the client hasn't pre-fetched the entire map. In fact, we make a point of only sending to the client map data that he actually sort of has access to or is in the vicinity of. And if you wanted to increase the view rendering distance, obviously you would have to increase the amount of map data that the client receives as well. And at that point we'd have to massage that data in several different ways to make it palatable to the client to render, to make it palatable to us in terms of what information is actually given to the client, blah 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 blah. And that would have to come at several different stages of LOD, level of detail. So as you approach something, the closer you get, presumably the more detail you get about that area. So we wouldn't have to send every object, for example, for every map grid, because that would that would be too much. So Jordan Co's statues placed in Valhalla. I think it would definitely be cool to. I like the fact that they're in the world, but it could be cool to have a copy of every statue in Valhalla, so that I could get behind. What were we doing before we started fumbling? I think we were attempting to get to the bows for the chicken coop. So that's what we're gonna do. So yeah, I don't know, long answer, long-winded answer there, but the problem I have with the bad cam is that it is poorly supported. That is my main issue with it. Veneruso asks, "Hi, you're doing a good job in this game and want to ask about long-term goal. For example, first 6 months as development part and second 6 months before the wipe. Could be some competition part when realms will fight each other for some kind of win goal, not for extermination goal or high quality stuff. What do you think about it?" I'm not against that. Like, that could presumably be fun. I think more reasons for competition that do not involve exterminating one another, I think I can always get behind. For example, I really like a meteorite hitting somewhere, you kind of getting some advanced warning of where it's going to hit, and then having, I think it was DDD who suggested it, like having some kind of King of the Hill scenario around that. I like that idea. So those kinds of ideas I'm very open to. And anything that involves, like for example, one of the things that I like about the dungeons is the potential for PvP encounters in dungeons. I don't know how real that is, but like it occurs to me that we could probably set up various dungeon scenarios where you could have some sort of instanced or localized PvP that could be like pretty hardcore, like you could actually die in it and blah blah blah, but it would be more controlled and it wouldn't have to factor into the siege system so much, and it would be more of a localized PvP thing. I love that. Could be fun. Did Romanos newbie? Would you consider an exponential relative to how high stats and quality decay as an alternative to world resets? I assume that your goal, since you're implementing decay in the matter of the forest, can become forced after. Not sure I understand. An exponential relative to how high stats and quality decay. It's an alternative. Are you simply talking about more diminishing returns in the stat and quality grind? because sure, like right now, I think the situation is kind of pathologic. I think we've implemented a lot of ways throughout the course of this world, a lot of ways to spiral qualities, to increase qualities especially through various credos like Smith and blah blah blah, Potter obviously, and I think when we do decide to pull off a world reset, have an excellent opportunity to take a step back and think a little bit about how all those changes that we've made, all of which I kind of like, but we could kind of think a little bit about how they work, you know, together, and try to get a bit of a better development curve going. That being said, I definitely agree with you that as it stands right now, at least, we are kind of in you know, I mean, I don't dispute your description there that world resets are kind of important for the game and blah 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 blah. I mean, to some extent, it's certainly true that, like, I consider the next world on the first day of a new world. Like, I mean, the thought is always present with me, like, oh, okay, how long are we going to be here? You know, blah, 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 what are our goals for this world, etc., etc. So, I mean, I don't dispute, like, your description of the situation that, you know, we're either with, either working with decay or with it's just, I don't know, it's like, are you imagining stat decay? Because that I don't like. That just sounds like Sisyphus work to me. I don't like that. King Wint. Holy shit, Bruderbona. Looks and sounds just as badass as I thought. You're welcome, sir. Zunzon says, do you plan to extend this world? It's quite small. And 5 level is all dug. That's pretty cool. I have some 5 level near me that's not dug. It's dug relatively close to me, but it's not dug exactly where I'm at. So I know that all the level 5 is dug out. It's not just an open, wide cavescape down there. So I don't think it's all dug exactly, but a lot of it I'm sure is dug out. And but yeah, extending the world, like, I mean, the reason we haven't is that we felt that, you know, we have a kind of small player base right now, like the world is old and we, you know, it's summer, blah, 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 this player base is really small. Maybe we could bring more people in by, you know, extending it, so I'm not at all opposed to extending it. It would be an easy fix to do. And so I'm not, you know, per se opposed to it. In fact, I'm not at all per se opposed to any kind of, like, sweeping, honestly, like, changes that I would love to consider at this point are big changes that are easy to implement. Like, changes that are easy to implement but make a big difference for the game. You know, I'm willing to try a lot of crazy things if you have ideas for them. So. But yeah, world events would be cool. Like, it kind of sucks right now because we, parallel with the whole client rendering rewrite, trying to get that done, we've also been developing small patches. And small patches are kind of terrible because, snake, are kind of terrible in a sense. It's a razor. That is one fast snake. Because it doesn't lend itself well to, like, development of more, like, serious long-term things, and we're gonna have to stand and fight for our right to party. I think so. Oh no, he bit me. Bastard. And what's really terrible is that we lose strength while he bites us as well. So it's like, that's right, flee, you evil creature. That's what? Why didn't I get a snake bite? Why didn't I get a snake bite? No snake bite. What's up? Did I just get super lucky? He bit me twice. Oh. Skills. Mad skills, y'all. Man, it is warm. I cannot wait until we're done for the night and I can go out in the kitchen and pour myself the biggest glass of water that I have had since earlier this day when I had a really big glass of water. But anywho, where were we? Flarella says, maybe resetting location of localized resources and nodes qualities would be nice. Didn't I have an idea on that topic sometime a while back? I actually, I think we talked about confluxes like a couple of streams back. I can probably find some bows here. We came here looking for bows. I remember now. It's all so clear to me. It's all coming back to me. Jordan Colsey has an axe to grind, and he's grinding it here by saying, can you let us walk through the smaller mobs and dungeons even when they're still alive? It's pretty cancerous at the moment. Once you're surrounded, you basically just spam attacks or defenses and tank test until you're inevitably KO'd, especially if you get stuck in an infinite spawn room. We take bounding box integrity fairly seriously around here, around these parts, Cozy. So, not sure. Not sure I like that idea much. But, I'll write it down for you. Walk through small mobs. We can consider that at least. It's so serious they can't target through dead slimes. Yeah, that's probably not good, right? That's probably not good. Bat Guano is now online. That is excellent. I've been missing that dude. Read Jordan's message, you potato. I don't know. If can't target through dead slimes. Can't target through dead slimes. Make a note of it. I'll look at it. I listen to the people. I take their insights and try to distill them into game changes. Let's see. Another thing that I would really like if the borders of these overlays were more clearly indicated, because sometimes I can't even, like this blue slight tint overlay that the personal claim leaves is not always readily apparent. Like at some point when you've had it on for long enough, you just kind of start thinking that, you know, your pavement has this blue tint naturally. I would like it if the border were clearly indicated, like around here. I suppose you can't see my mouse cursor. So, that's right, I can use straw as thatching material, but that's true, right, my bad. You clearly know this game better than I do. That's true, that's actually true. Thank you for the tip there. Should probably unload our nonsense before we go build it. Man, I'm fumbling now. Granger would be so disappointed in me. Just fumbling about, like, why do I have 2 crabs in my inventory? It's just stupid. Why did I pick up 2 crabs? Da 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 da. Look, I even got bit by one. Like, I got worse bites from these crabs than I did from... Isn't crabs also like a venereal disease? That's what she said. But I got worse bites from them crabs than I did from the snake. Not sure that is how it's supposed to be. Mopsy Pacey, is this Final Fantasy sound? No, that is actually the Zelda sound. Ardance TV says you should add a wound when taking eggs out of chicken coops that the chickens bite you. Alright, I'll haul them, man. Thank you, Ardance. Wound when getting eggs from coop. Make a note of that. More wounds are always welcome. Shadiest Scrub asks, can we get a monument to the heroic farmer Earl, who was murdered by a triumvirate of snakes, leeches, and bugs? What would you like the monument to be, Shadiest Scrub? I think should implement that chicken coop wound and call it like Ardenne's wound or something like that. Ardenne asked for it. Chicken coop wound featuring Ardenne's. I'm kidding, I'm not going to implement a chicken coop. Like, I like those mechanics, but I know that you guys just bought the shit out of them if they are ever even remotely meaningful, so... Or alt the shit out of them, rather. So, I'm not going to go too overboard with them. Even though I like them. Like the pickup wounds and the, you know, randomly hurting yourself while doing... Like, these little piles of trash that are just, you know, nonsensically piled everywhere in this base. Like, that is me fumbling. Like, no clear plan, no good layout, just organic chaos. Lingonberries, like, why, man? Sir? Crab crusts are bones too, but these can't be stacked, can they not? That's probably true. Well, they can be. You lied, sir. They can be stacked. Most definitely can be stacked, so we will stack them. Ardance TV, what is your plan to address pepper next world? Every faction or decent village just has a pepper bot. I think I can show you what my plan for that is. Did you get a good look at that? I have a plan for you, sir. I have a great and glorious plan for you, sir. Oh, don't you worry. We're going to take care of the pepper situation. Sneezing would be fun too, yeah. Romanos asks, do you think having such an enormous amount of fluff content like food will make it hard to balance the numbers of the game, as it's impossible to implement a balancing algorithm? Is it impossible to implement a balancing algorithm? That sounds like a challenge to me. Like, maybe an algorithm would actually be a better idea than us trying to fumble through it. I think that would, like, having an algorithm would honestly go pretty well with Haven's general, like, concept of, you know, being player driven and, you know, generated world and all that. That being said, I don't know, I don't think that, maybe, like, there are always going to be, I guess, like, my biggest problem with both the curios and the food is that I feel that it gets kind of linear. Like, we have a bunch, there are a bunch of alternate stats, but I feel that it kind of grinds down to, like, easily comparable qualities, like, you know, FEPS per unit of hunger, I suppose, and LP per hour. So, though I suppose now that you have no problem with hunger whatsoever, I suppose FEPS per unit of hunger is no longer relevant. So I would suppose ease of making is a big factor in your considerations. And look at this, it's just a mess. Like, there's like no clear order whatsoever to anything where anything goes. Like I have no clear ideas. I need to clean my room. It's like Jordan Peterson says. It's like exactly like Jordan Peterson says. I need to go and clean my room. I'm not a huge fan of Jordan Peterson. It does need sorting out, exactly. Are you good with sorting things out, Amanda? Are you good at Awesome, Amanda. You're welcome to my base anytime. Kieran says, any new clothing coming from the new golden fabric? And would you be adding heat cold system to the game that would affect the character's production rate and movement speed depending on what they are wearing in terms of both clothing and armor type? Yeah, I mean, awesome ideas on the whole. We've discussed this on a previous stream as well, I believe. Not to shoot down your comment, but I think it's been up. My take on it then was basically that I both liked and didn't like how that worked in, for example, the new Zelda game, where heat and temperature certainly matters for your clothing, but the problem is that the only incentive there is to acquire all the clothes and always carry them with you, which is what you do, because there's no limit there either to how much clothing you can carry with you. So I think there's, and if that's the only effect, like, oh, it got a little cold, better put my shirt on, like, write a script to do that for me, like, that's not too much fun. That being said, like, one of the big inspirations for Haven was the ultimate roguelike survival Unreal World, which I recommend to anyone, in which heat and temperature and winter and all that good stuff certainly plays an important role. And so that was certainly, like, harsh winters especially were certainly a part of the original kind of vision that we had for Haven. And I would definitely like seasons, and if we had seasons, it would be kind of silly if you could walk around in your shorts. So, I mean, yeah, I'd love it if we could do. I mean, I'd like to do seasons and temperature. I'm not arguing against that. Arden's TV says, where are you on implementing the legacy combat animations? Pretty please, I'll donate $5 shekels. I'll make a note of it. Note of that. We talked about that last time as well, so I'll write that down. Legacy combat. I think it would, honestly, I would love it if we could just try to just bring them back, like, as they are. Because I think that could be possible. Like, we render a plane here with the animation on it in some proportion to the size of the character. I think that could work. Like, and then just play the animated GIF as it is. Chicken Wound is still on the list. Chicken is still on the list. What does Bruder Bohne means? It means brother bean. Bruder means brother in German, and Bohne means bean in German. It is one of my oldest superhero names. It'd go a long way to making the combat less bland. Combat right now is just weird, every move looks the same, you can't tell what anyone is doing unless your client shows off-target combat moves or something. Yeah, I mean, I can get behind that. Like, I think, yeah, it could really make it a lot more fun. Riverslide, or, a lot more like fireworks and zinging things going off, things happening in combat. I think that's probably one of the better aspects of old legacy combat, actually. Riverslide asks, have you ever been to Orkney, Jorb? And the answer to that, Riverslide, is that I have not been to Orkney, though I would not mind going. Orkney is actually kind of interesting. It's only very late did Orkney pass from the Norwegian crown to the Scottish crown. I believe it was in the 1200s, something. So Orkney was really like the last part of the old North Atlantic or North Sea Empire, rather, like the last part of Viking England, or Viking Britain, to be handed over to, well, to Scotland in that case, I believe it was. I believe that was when Scotland was still an independent nation. So. I mean, formally, I mean, Scotland is still technically somehow an independent nation within the United Kingdom, blah, blah, blah. Y'all know the situation significantly better than I do, I'm sure. Not actually 100% sure on that, but... Jarface Killer... okay, so we have 2 Orkneyites in the same stream. That's pretty special, considering Orkney is such a small place. Do you guys know each other, Riverslide and Jarface Killer? Was Orkney nice? Why do you ask? Zentet69 says sore arms wound from plowing. I mean, definitely. Like, I've considered it. I've considered, like, you know, cutting yourself on the scythe and all kinds of stuff. But again, I'm not sure how much fun those wounds actually are. Like, I'm not sure how fun they are. Shadiest Scrub says, what if we just calm down on the wounds? Well, Shadiest Scrub. We all have varying ambitions and desires in life. Some want more wounds and some want less wounds. Not always do such varying and counteropposed visions unite into a common vision. And sometimes a particular vision has to cast the deciding vote. Jarface Killer says, gotta go to work, see you. Take care, bro. It was nice of you to stay here for the... nice of you to be here. Have a good day at work. Don't work yourself to death. So was there any question that I left hanging now? Like, was there some line of reasoning that where my cloudy mind... Finigini says, what do you think about increasing learning ability at the cost of energy? I have to say, sir, that I'm fairly skeptical of anything that involves increasing the learning ability, especially in exchange for something so relatively trivial to reacquire as energy. So that would depend on the specifics of the implementation you imagine, is my diplomatic answer. Awesome, Coles. Check out your list of posts. Newbie says, when people criticize the plethora of wounds, do you save their criticism to the spank bank and get off on their suffering? That's pretty accurate, actually. I don't know. You guys, honestly, I'm not sure I understand all the hatred for the wounds. I mean, I enjoy the wounds. Like, it's fun. You get scout badges. It's like, ooh, there was a wound I never saw before. It's like content unlocked. It's awesome, right? I love new wounds, especially like really obscure and hard to treat ones. I'm not sure. You guys are tripping balls. I don't know why. How could anyone be against more innocent wounds that never did nobody no harm? Ta-da-da-da! That actually turned out pretty nice, didn't it? I think that turned out pretty nice. That's a pretty nice chicken coop. Am I right, stream? That's a pretty nice chicken coop. Ardens TV says, it's because of the mindset in video games where taking damage means you're doing something wrong. So when you force players to take damage just for playing the game correctly, it upsets them. Maybe. But maybe. Like, but doesn't it kind of make sense fundamentally that, like, for example, bees sting? Isn't that kind of like a reasonable thing? I mean, Like, should there literally be ways to 100% scot-free get clear of everything? To never have to worry about any wound ever? To always have a perfectly balanced character? Because, I mean, I would honestly love to see wounds that are more permanent. Like, this is something that's come up a lot of times, especially as a consequence of actions that you yourself clearly chose, knowing that they would produce wounds or have a high risk of doing so. Like PvP, for example, and I mean, I would not at all mind more and more serious wounds for that type of stuff. Maybe you're dance. Maybe you're right. A bee suit could be fun, yeah. We did tone down both the bee and the Kohler bee wounds and the Kohler's cough wound. We're all toned down. You know, generous act of leniency. I'm okay to have more wounds, says Zieth777, but I'd like some way to avoid them. For example, bee sting could be avoided by wearing a bee suit. Yeah, I mean, I'm not against a bee suit, so a bee suit could be fun. Or would rather be fun. Let's write that down. Bee suit. Maybe made from the new golden cloth. Right, golden cloth. Golden cloth clothing. That's good, that's good. Just toss all this shit to the chicken. Will they survive off of that for long? We shall find out. I think that should keep them for some time. Characters should get wounded from working too much, but also wounded mentally and existentially from working too little. Yeah, I don't know, like, I mean, the obvious problem of having characters punished for working too much is that because there are some mechanics that punish characters for working too much. But the obvious problem with mechanics like that is that it tends to lead to alting, which is also not that much fun. Right? Like, this is like a seed box right here. Like all, no order whatsoever. Maybe I should make some of those informative little signs to tell me where to put all the yank I have. Like, for example, this goes better here, closer to the fire, I guess. It wasn't even that much closer, like, just fumbling around. Fumbling. Boom, boom. Did order increase now? I'm not even sure. Hey, look, we got a new runestone. I didn't even check that out. Romanov says, with permanent wounds and diminishing returns on constitution health, do you not think that suicide would again become a thing one would do on purpose? Is that a good or a bad thing? Jorb, I'll sell my firstborn for the paper bag hat or make America great again hat. I'd say that's a yes vote right there. That is a yes vote. I mean, that guy clearly has passion for the game, at least. But maybe these are the name. These are the name vote. Yeah, these goes over here. Sorry about that. I don't know, Romanos. I don't know how you pronounce that. You tell me, is that a good or a bad thing that suicide becomes a thing? I mean, I'm not 100% against character suicide. I can't say that. I can't say that I'm like apodictically sure that the game should have no situation ever where like suicide is not an option. I mean, I agree that it's kind of retarded, like as it is with Credos right now, that you can play a silly suicide game to get them significantly easier, apparently. I guess that didn't work out as well as we had hoped, but I don't know. I'm also, again, like I said, I'm not apodictically certain that it should be the case that you can never ever have a situation where it's not correct to suicide. X-Bubby says, can we have a remodel of a Stahlhelm? You can Google it and clearly see there are those little holes and buttons on both the sides of a helm in real life. Year gold sub hat. I googled fun hats, by the way. This is a googling I do every now and then when I need to come up with a new one every every week. So, like some of these, for example, I mean, this would obviously be fun, but like, what do I even call it? Like, what is this even? Hellspawn abomination hat thing. What were we doing? Stahlhelm. There are several models of Stahlhelm, first of all. So, I mean, I think this is a more classic World War I one, and I mean, this is obviously a replica, but I think these are more like World War II-ish. And then there's also obviously the East German Stahlhelm, which is kind of more futuristic, modernistic. Yeah, that's the one right there. So it kind of depends on, I mean, which one do you want? Which one should it be? I suppose you're going for the Nazi one. Nazi. I'm in the Nazi killing business, brother. Business been good. Ardance TV says you should prioritize CNI threads from people who are gold sub. Like, I'm not, you know, you obviously presented this a bit tongue in cheek, I got the feeling, but I'm not entirely against, like, at least tying subscriptions to the forums in various ways, like having perhaps a unique forum for all the gold subscribers or whatever. But PHPBB, which is the forum that we've used since forever, is apparently not Loftar's favorite piece of software in the world. So we have considered at times writing our own forum code, but that would obviously be a bit of a project. And I don't think he wants to spend time hacking PHPB to introduce better connectivity between the server and the forum. That's the reason, I think. Shady Scrub says, what doesn't Loftar hate? Not much, truth be told. Like, I think he's okay with, like, babies, unicorns, and candy, but, like, not a big candy man either. So I'm not sure there's much, truth be told. It's just burning passion, hateful passion for the world and everything in it, seeking to destroy it. Like, were it not for me restraining him, it would just be world reset all day, every day. That's all we would be doing. Permanent wounds would be a bad thing because it punishes participating in combat on anything that is not a disposable combat alt. Obviously, Romanos, I agree with you there. Like, you have a point. I'm not saying that you do not have a point, because you do have a point. Oh, Flyrella, don't give up. Baby, darling girl. What did I miss? What was the question that I missed? Oh, right. Chickens are going to die. Yeah, I meant to add water to the chickens. Of course I was going to give the chickens water. What do you take me for? Some sort of barbarian, like, person who's going to get, like, animal protection services called on me? No, sir. Or ma'am. That is not me. I water my chickens properly. I do it right. I do them right. Kevin Mix says, please add cholesterol level that can cause serious health issues from eating too much cheese. I'm not sure how keen I am on propagating the myth that, like, fatty foods are bad for you, because that is a myth. That is not true. You are not telling the truth there. Eating a lot of cheese is not bad for you. That is at least my firm belief. Not that I'm here, dispensing medical advice or anything, but I think that is bullshit. I'm calling bullshit on that. I think a high-fat diet is unproblematic, and a diet high in carbohydrates, I think, is significantly more problematic. So that is at least my naive belief on how the world and the things in it work. But eating only cheese and drinking wine is bad. I mean, I like cheese, I like wine. I mean, bad, sure, maybe, but, like, how bad? Phalanix says, I think a nice idea for the Credo problem would be if every normal quest you do reduces the amount of quests needed for Credos to a certain degree. That's actually not like maybe a quest reward to reduce Credo quest number. That could be a thing. I don't hate that idea actually. Questing is pretty rewarding, right? Like right now. Like, how do you like the new implementation that we did with increasing the local herb qualities from creating or completing quests? How do you like that? How do you like that one? Also, my understanding on the cholesterol thing is that the cholesterol itself is not actually the dangerous part. Cholesterol is rather an indication of like having inflammation and wounds in your arteries and stuff, and cholesterol is there to fix it. So my indication is that the correlation is kind of inverted there. Like, you have a heart problem and therefore you get high cholesterol levels, not the other way around. Not you have high cholesterol levels and therefore you get a heart problem. But my belief is that the traditional like food advice thingies that have been propagated down from like the American foundations, big think tanks, etc., since like the 70s, the fat scare, all that stuff. Especially since, like, if you look at all the low-fat products, what they do is like replace good, healthy, natural fats with sugar instead, which is just like, a poison. Basically, sugar is really bad for you. Here I am dispensing advice, life, wisdom on topics high and low. Was there not a good question I missed? Oops. Sorry, I didn't need to click the name. Dumb mechanic. It's replacing a potential 20 million LP reward. Well, I mean, what's the dumb mechanic there? Is it really the level up of herbs thing that is the dumb thing, or the 20 million LP that is the dumb thing? I think you have to call a spade there and say that it's probably the 20 million LP. It's fun. You just want to bite your keyboard when you do a quest like kill a mammoth, bring X, Y, and so and then you get rushed through plus one. I can see that being a thing. Exactly. That tree definitely needed Arden's TV to get 3 more points of stealth. Can only get behind that. I thought it was a fun mechanic, and I think we should add it for animals, and it was something else. Yeah, fish as well. I thought it was a good mechanic. Like, I'm not saying it's the be-all, end-all of like having mechanics that allow herbs and stuff to increase in quality as well, to kind of keep up with the homegrown stuff. So, I mean, I could definitely see more mechanics in that vein, like some sort of influence from culture, maybe some sort of something to increase like the local urban quality. I mean, kingdoms do something like that. They increase the local levels of forgeables. Blah, blah, blah. So I think we could do more mechanics like that, but I thought the quest one was kind of fun, actually. Jordan Cozy says, I posted a change to the Credo grind a while ago. Ideally, I think Credos should work the same as how Newman works. 3 quest options to choose from. So, sounds like a lot of work to implement, sir. I'm not sure I like that. But, yeah, maybe, I don't know. Arden's says, I know you've been talking to a few people about this behind the scenes, but please, for the love of God, revisit your changes to the combat maneuvers based on stat delta. So bad that people are taking off gilded gear to lower their unarmed during PvP. I have to agree with you that sounds unintended. I'll make a note to look at it. I'll bring that up with Loftarm next time we have a little meet and greet, little sit down, where we sit down and discuss the serious mechanical changes that we're going to inflict upon the game. 3 dice rolls is not the problem, Jordan calls you dummy. The problem is the interface, like presenting the quests. It's a lot of UI work. I hate UI work. Everyone hates UI work. There's your answer there. Yeah. Zemted69 says, make a way to trap and enslave Ents to increase local equality. There are no Ents in the game, sir. There are Dryads in the game. Important distinction that needs to be made. But, I ought to bring down the volume and just disclosure. But yeah, I actually meant to do something with the Ents just the other day. Like actually give them a mechanic. I don't remember exactly what it was though. I do seem to recall something. Beardhat says, I like UI work. Really? You enjoy it? I suppose there are people who like the whole design. It's just like from a it would be a stretch to call me a programmer, but I've definitely programmed a bit in my days, and like coming from that vein of it, it's like, or coming from that perspective at least, it's always like there's never anything generic about it. Like when I've done the UI for Boats of Sky, for example, so I know what I'm talking about in that sense. Like every little piece of code you write for UI, you try to write generic code that you can reuse somewhere else. And to some extent you obviously do, but like every little piece of code that you write feels like it's kind of pretending to be this generic, reusable code that you can use in other places. But in reality, it's, very specific code for this specific meter in this specific place, which has specific things differentiating it from all other meters in the UI. It just feels that there's never anything generic about it. Like everything is very specialized at what it does, and it's like takes time, and you sit there fiddling with little offsets of a couple of pixels here and there, and like just trying to get it to fit right together. Like just don't like it. Well, I mean, designing layouts and linking API calls. I tend to make custom UIs for your game. Well, I mean, I'm sure that could be fun. I'm not gonna say that it's like completely not fun. I mean, I suppose I could see some charm in aspects of it, but I'm just not. Not a huge fan. We could probably tell by the way that the UI. I think our UI paradigm is a little bit outdated. That's another thing. Like at some point, we're gonna have to redo the entire UI for the game, and because at some point, I think we'll just have to own and fess up to the fact that people have like ridiculously high resolutions these days, and I don't think our little fixed resolution paradigm is gonna be able to have eternal life, so to speak. So, me. Nerp Slarps says Super Kive. I can only agree. Ozzy says, hello Jorb, I'm enjoying your game really well. Awesome, man. Awesome. Glad you do. Congratulations. That's almost what I said. Ozzy says, can you announce when it's next World Wipe? I most certainly will. When next World Wipe is planned, scheduled, when we know what we're doing, then I will definitely be announcing it. It will not be just sprung upon you. Not entirely, at least. There'll be some advanced warning. People pay for Minecraft, so who knows? Yeah, I suppose that's true. Aussies, I don't know when the next World Reset is going to be. If I knew, I probably wouldn't tell you, but I don't know. So, all the more reason for me not to tell you. Golden Williams says, to other players or Jorb looking to get into this again, is it worth waiting for a World Reset, or do I come in now? Will the experience be different for better or worse? I'm hoping that you mean now or after the World Reset? I mean, I'm hoping, the purpose of the World Reset, or of a World Reset, would be to make the game better. So, I mean, obviously it would then stand to reason that unless we, fail completely, which is not unheard of, by the way, but like, next world should probably be better than this one. That at least that would be the ideal. Not reaching that goal would be a bit of a failure, I think. But that being said, I'm always going to opt on the side of getting in now. Like, I mean, I think there's some value if you care about the next world to learn the ropes in this world. But it's really, really for you to decide. Zented69 says, why don't you use your sexy art skills, not sure they're that sexy, to make some kind of token animated Haven and Hearts logo intro when you start the client up? What do you think about that? What do you think about that? Should I spend time doing that? Should I spend my precious, precious time doing some like animated video intro thing for the game? With like rendered graphics and the whole beautiful 9 yards? Set up like some Blender scene with like a camera swoop and render it out into like a video format and try to get that to play in the client? Not entirely an unworthy project, I'll have you know. Because I do have to agree that the game kind of just throws you out into itself, and there's not much of an introduction. Like, there are the quests and all that nonsense, but there's not that much of a like initial sell that like really gets you, like an intro video or something. I mean, I'm a big fan of intro videos. Love them in Fallout. Love them in like any like cinematic sequences like that is a really cool stuff. Cinematic sequence. Cinematic sequence. It's worth thinking about. That is for sure. Jordan Cozy says, 8 months for reset, sorry, gotta make the intro video too. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Beard Hat says, come to think of it, Bruderbone, would it require a lot of work to run a server that has an annual reset like a season? No, it would not. It would be fairly easy. There is some infrastructure, at least, for running multiple servers, as we did that in Salem. So it would be fairly easy, I think, to set up the actual situation there. But the question is, I mean, it's not entirely unproblematic, because if everyone knows that the world is just going to be 1 year long and then it's going to reset, then what incentives are there to play that world, after, 10 months, 11 months and 2 weeks? Like, when you know that the world is going to end, you have fairly strong incentives, I think, to quit playing the game. And I think that could be problematic for a paradigm like that, where you're counting on, where you have like a fixed schedule. What would we say? Arthouse TV says, when are you going to do limited runs of old hats in the store for the triple price so you can literally print money, you fucking potato? That's unduly harsh. I reject your assertion that I'm a potato. I'm certainly no potato. I don't know any potato. Not some of my best friends are potatoes. I don't know. I don't know, actually. Maybe we should, like, I'm not sure how I feel about it, like, sorry about that. Not sure how I feel about it. On the one part, there's the argument that we have this large pool of hats that it would be kind of a shame if we never used again or reused. But there's also the argument to be made that, well, it's kind of cool if the hats are only, truly available for a limited time only. Like, considering some of the sales that we've had on the later hats, because some of them have sold like fairly well, looking back, I'm actually surprised at how little we sold of like the first 9 hats that were in the store originally, because those sold very little, all of them. So I have a feeling that they must be pretty unique, like the launch helmet and all that nonsense. And some of them were pretty good. So, I don't know. One thought that I've obviously had is not to use old hats, but rather to make variations of old hats. So we could have, like, you know, the red pirate's hat, the red witch's hat, the blue pirate's hat, the blue witch's hat, blah, 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 blah. So. The original hats could be looted. I believe that the original hats were in at a point when they couldn't be looted as well. And they could never be looted if they were in your Hearthfire. So, I don't know. But you may have a point there. But as a consequence, I suppose they're pretty rare then, at least. Rope, twining, painting. I don't think I need any of this right now. I don't think I need any of that right now. Speaking of potatoes, potato crops, no, I'm not too keen on potato now. Potato is a new world crop. So, not too keen on that. That is a little bit out of the scope for the game. But, you know, as I've said with many things that I'm kind of against, like give me 10 years or so and I'll probably be far enough gone that I find it to be a great idea and finally time to do it. So. Jorb is the potatoes. Potato, potato. So maybe we should try to go give our boy Nevelung his stinging nettle that he has been pining for so long now. Yeah. The quest giver in the story. There is not. Well, yeah. Well, maybe I don't know. Showing you the ropes. It's, yeah. Ex-Bubby says, me and my brother Trolix are going to kill ourselves if you don't add those old hats back to the store, so please don't. If you add, they're going to kill them. Okay, they don't want that. I suppose that means they're sitting on a bunch of them. He would kill himself, really. Now, that's a good argument for not doing it, though. Well, I mean, we would never just, you know, randomly just add back all of them, but... last try. Thoughts on expanding troll items? Troll cloaks, troll bone brooch, gilding, brooch, troll club, troll this and that. Yeah, troll stuff sounds good. More troll stuff. Let's see. I'm chasing squirrels. What am I doing? What am I even doing? The troll club. So many puns. So many puns. Blunt weapons, actually. I did a club, actually. Hi from Salem. Hello. Hey, whoa. 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 You guys. Whoa. Wow, what a score. We found it. We found the roots. I found a root. Now, the question is, do I save it for a druid ring? I believe that requires a root, right? Or should I use it to try to burn off the nerve damage? Problem is, if I use it now, I'm definitely going to hit some of these nonsense words. Creeperos says, hi from Russia. Hello! Russia with love. Use it. I think I'm going to use it to try to hit my wounds. Insane Chef asks, what's the most sold hat? I think we did pretty well on the Make Haven Great Again hat. That was just basically a MAGA cap, a red, you know, from the Trump presidential campaign. We sold pretty well on that one. Also, the Dev Suck sign has sold pretty well. And... yeah, that requires me trying to remember to log on tomorrow to actually use it, Amanda. Okay, do you think I should just pop it? Pop the ancient root? What do you think, guys? Should I just do it like the madman that I am? Simon 1001 says, have you thought about adding new hearth magic for skills like Druidic Rite? For example, commune with nature selected to the tree grows faster. I think there already is one called Communing with Nature. Isn't there? Commune with Nature, exactly. Yeah, a druid hearth magic to unstunt trees or make them grow faster, some nonsense like that that's come up a couple of times. Druid hearth magic. I'll consider that. I'm not entirely opposed to the idea. Kevin says, are there any more non-hat cosmetic items coming to store anytime soon? I don't know. What would you like to see? I liked Jordan Colsey's idea about having cosmetic coracles. That's on my list. We're probably going to do that at some point. Really like that with, you know, a flamingo that you can roll around in and all that nonsense. That would be really awesome. I think it would require a fair bit of doing to actually do all the coracles, but Ken Shiraikeb says, do you plan on expanding Credo in a way where doing one means you can't do two? It's a tough question. That's a design choice that I haven't been really comfortable with making myself. So I'm glad that that design space still remains unexplored. I'm not entirely opposed to it. Like it could be a fun thing to have at least like one or two paths that work that way. So I'm not, hey, look, what do you know? Cool beans. Cool beans. Randomly, we find a ram here that has died. Maybe it wandered off from this settlement when that decayed. And here's also it's really awesome with the new skeleton things. Really like that. Finding like, so obviously someone killed a moose and just left it, and after some time, here we are. It had turned into a skeleton, and now we can harvest the skeleton and bring that back to our base for fun and profit. Apparently I already know of fresh sheepskin. Quality 2. But do I know of sheep meat? Do you think they should last, Amanda? Shouldn't everything? Yeah, fine bone for the beast ring too. That's true, except only like, I did not know of mutton, but now I do, so I can done with that now. Should they really last though, Amanda? Not sure about that. Maybe they should last. I mean, it would arguably be kind of cool if you could reassemble the skeletons and, you know, arguably like pose them in various ways as well. I think that would kind of go in the same vein as making something we've also discussed, like making statues of animals, where you could, in any arbitrary stone material, like make a bear in some particular pose or whatever. Add diving, underwater foraging, hiding underwater when you're surrounded by enemies and boats, combat based underwater, fishing, and all are interesting scenarios. Yeah, I don't, you know, Romanov, that's not a bad idea, like that. Zunzon says, skeletons are cool, but I felt it took too much of your time while other things could have been implemented. Yeah, I think the thing I liked about it was that it was a fairly easy task to do in terms of, it was just, you know, kind of the repetition of the same task over and over again, which was, you know, it took some time, granted, but I don't know, it's a one-time investment, and then you have it forever, so I thought that was kind of fun. Hello, Princess Mandy. Thank you for bringing this nice bluebell to me. See if I can find an appropriate dab, say, to thank you. Thank you, Princess Mandy. Mopsy Pacey says, try Morrowind multiplayer. Test 3MP. It's a great experience. Awesome. So is that actual Morrowind with just added on multiplayer? That sounds kind of fun. It sounds like, because as I've already explained on a previous occasion, I believe Morrowind still owes me a whole summer of my life. So, that I'll never see again. I'm not sure I want to give that beast. That's right, we needed bark for the tanning. I'm not sure I want to feed that beast any more than I've already fed it. Morrowind was a lot of fun though. What is it? Don't you just love those classic games? suppose your definition of classic is, you know, your own personal sense of nostalgia. Hey, what do you know? No. Dakan says, have you had any more thoughts about deeper cave levels? Not really. Like, I'm not opposed to them. I wouldn't mind adding more. I wouldn't mind differentiating the content more between... like, one of the things that we're definitely doing for the next... or one of the things that we might be doing for the next World Music is cave biomes. So if we did that, I wouldn't mind. That's at least on my list of things that I'd like to do. I wouldn't mind differentiating that. The whole content progression through all the cave level. I wouldn't mind differentiating that. Arguably significantly even. So, identifying fossils. Yeah, sure. Ozzy says, cave is troll, mountain is mammoth. How about a big mutant boar creature and forest boss, Mom? Eh? Eh? I wouldn't mind that. That could be cool. More boss type creatures in general could be cool. Speaking of ants and shit. If we wanted to stray more into the fantastical. Yeah, Arden's TV, I have a note to fix overlays for the Steel Crucible to indicate when to indicate the fuel level. I think it's still on my list right here. It's here somewhere. Overlay. There you go. Still on the list. And I've looked at this list actually. I think we even did a couple of. I think Cozy's PM about the Bat Dungeon. I've looked at that. Fucked up the debugging, but I looked at it at least. Yep. Adding to the skeleton thing, setting up a display stand where you could stand them upright as a display would be cool. Basically like a bonfire base, only flat. Yeah. So, display stand for skeleton. We'd have to kind of make them in a couple of different sizes so that you don't have the same base for the mammoth as you do for the fox or whatever, but it could be done. So what do you think? Should I just pop this thing right now? Say yes. Please say yes. Gray Sanchez has some good ideas there. Okay, so bark for the these poor guys. I'm not sure they're gonna live for very long. Need hug lives. That has to be a nay vote, right? I'm gonna count that to the nay votes. It doesn't sound good. That does not sound good at all. Nitbane dungeon. How about that? Yeah, maybe make them work first. I don't know where all the nitbanes that never found their mark go. No. Yes. Do it. You won't. No balls. Oh. You questioned my manliness. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do one. What do you think? Are we gonna hit the nerve damage? I don't know. All right, we got 50% of it at least. Never go with the majority. They are always wrong. And it's true. The best argument against democracy is a 5-minute conversation with the average voter. Jordan Cole says, Ant Dungeon might be pretty bad on, too, honestly, since they penetrate. Yeah, it's funny, actually, that I noticed this on my real character. Like, one of the most dangerous creatures you can fight in the game are ants. No joke. Like no animal, no real dangerous animal like moose or bear or anything leaves me with a decently experienced character with as many wounds as do ants. ants are the most dangerous creature in the game. That's pretty silly. Yeah, I mean, nidbanes are pretty busted right now. I don't think they work well at all. I like the concept, but I don't think they work well at all. We found a boat. That's pretty sweet. Bark. We were getting bark. Are you implying that you can actually combat moose? Can we see? Not on this character I can't, but on my real character I can. Because I'm that badass. You know. Blood Phoenix 08 says, I'm surprised we haven't got a bear dungeon yet. Yeah, so am I. I was hoping for... My target for this year was 5 dungeons. I don't think we're going to do that. I don't think we're going to get around to doing 5. But I'm hoping we can do at least 1 or 2 more. We've done 1, so it's kind of disappointing, but we've had other commitments, chiefly the client rendering rewrite thing. So, but a bear dungeon is definitely on the list, and as is a walrus dungeon, or rather a combination dungeon for seals and walrus. Phalanx says, shows your real character. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do that when we have announced our world exit. Maybe. No. When will the client render rewrite hit? Any timeline? No, not any hard or timeline that I can promise you. It's really not in my hands at all. It's entirely on Walthar's table. So you would have to ask him, and he's notoriously bad. Like last December, he was seriously saying, I think we could have it done by December. When I asked him, to him at that point, that apparently seemed like a reasonable time frame. So I don't really put too much credence in his. He never gives time estimates. By the way, you always have to drag time estimates out of him. So. I don't know. It'll be done when it's done. That's all I can say. But I'm optimistic that we can have it done by the end of August. I don't know. It's hard to tell. Gray seal pies are really nice. Really? Is that true? What do you use them for? Why are they nice? It's like for the. What do they give? Agility or? Let's go. How far away is Neverlong, do you guys think? There's some movement in the indicator, right? It can't be too far. But we're going in the entirely wrong direction. Oh, and we've entered a fair realm indeed. A fair realm indeed. Let's try to reach Neverlong and hope we can do that in a reasonable time frame. How far can it be? What do you think? Somewhere here around, maybe? Who even knows? Purchased hat dog. Decks, alright, decks. Right on. Right. Of course they're decks, naturally, considering that you get the seal finger, of course. So you need Huggies a dragon, yes. In Norse mythology. Yeah, we'll use the term dragon and not nerd away in the distinctions between dragons and wyverns and lindworms and all the things there are. Large reptilian thing. Monster. But it's a shame that we don't have Dr. Jordan Peterson on to deliver some ridiculous analysis of the presence of the serpent in traditional art. It's a symbol. Gold sub-dungeon, where instead of automatically getting new hats, they can earn them as rewards. I don't know about that, man. Maybe like a casino dungeon, where you can play for reals money, and the house always wins, and there are these one-armed bandits that you can fight your way past, and that could be something. Something I've heard suggested that would make a lot of people happy, and add an option to barter stands to convert a slot over to sell a singular object instead of linking to a cupboard, so you can sell things. Yeah, barter opportunities for objects is something that I've considered. Like, you can obviously set up situations where you can sell individual objects, but I've considered making... I have made a note somewhere in my other... Man, those shadows were flickering at that particular angle. It has to be something with the shadow offset. Peculiar. Dragons that roam the map and have 15k HP would be a really neat thing. Couldn't really imagine them without destroying some property as they flew by, but that might be a little too harsh. Yeah, I mean, that would be fun. Like, dragons... Like, a vision that I've had in my mind is of a dragon, like, landing, perching on the village idol, and sitting on top of it and, like, demanding ransom, essentially, or extortion money to not attack the village. That could be cool, I think. But like, we also don't, like, it's, the usual caveat would apply with magical, fantastic things, is that we don't want to just make it a mundane thing that happens every so often, every week, and it's nothing special at all, blah, blah, blah. So we'd like it to be special. Or you can kill it and take the reward, obviously, but I wouldn't want it. Exactly, then the dragon would bring the money to Jorb. I think that would actually be, yeah. There could be like a scroll in the store that you could buy to just buy the dragon off. Endless opportunities, endless opportunities. So those are two things: dragon that brings shekels to Jorb, and casino dungeon. Bringing shekels to Jorb. Excellent. What would the game be without the community feedback? I think it's so crucial to have that, especially those few like really good ideals that came. All right. Boom. Let's deliver. And we got a quest as well. Alright, that's fair. Catch a squirrel. There we go. Where are we now in relation to home? Where's home? It's over here somewhere, right? Yeah, exactly. It's right over here is home. Dragons. If you want community feedback, then implement the system I suggested to you last time with an in-game graphical user interface. You really had me at graphical user interface, sir. That's where you sold that idea to me. For asking the community questions and getting their feedback on game. I'm not sure how this improves on the forum. It's just like, all I see is like a spam window where people can enter obscenities and send them to the dev team, and I'm not sure that's a good idea. Like, how is this an improvement over the forums? How do you imagine that we're going to get like quality feedback from this? Honestly, like, I don't know. Hey, what do you know? We found a cool abandoned base. Wow, with a pyramid and everything. With a pyramid and everything. It's pretty neat. Someone obviously spent a fair amount of time here. quality of this stuff? Well, ziggurat then. What is it? What would you go? Wow, that's a lot higher than ours. That's a lot higher than ours. We'll raise our qual farming level a little bit. Not that it really matters, but. Timeless pyramid. Well, maybe I'll do that next time. Okay, so they have Q332 barley and Q36 wheat. That seems a little bit mismatched. Ah, no! Sneak! I'm not fighting any more snakes today. I can hide down in the mine. Well, error 404. This is a pretty cool windmill. Yeah, that you can build windmills inside caves is pretty special. Simon 1001 asked, will personal beliefs come back to Haven in any form? Yeah, most certainly. In some form or another. Probably nothing, you know, was too close resembling, you know, the form they had in Legacy, because we were never really happy about that implementation. But yeah, we definitely want to bring personal beliefs back in some form or other. Found nothing. Haunts would also be really cool, like old buildings getting haunted by, you know, various kinds of wildlife. And, ooh, hey, look, a metal plow. Score. Bringing that bad boy home. The metal plow doesn't feel as good as it used to be in Legacy. I'm not. Oh, god damn it. Silly snake. Alright, boys and girls, I think we're coming up on the 2-hour mark, and I have to say, even though we only did retarded playing of the game, this kind of blew past. I think these 2 hours blew past in a blast. So yeah, this was a lot of fun, as usual. So thank you to all of you for coming on tonight and spending some time with me and asking initiated questions and have fun. Ardens TV says people don't use the forum, mostly because they feel like their ideas aren't considered or don't matter. Take your archery thread, for example. When you solicited the feedback, you received a lot of the ideas that you solicit the feedback from. Right? That could be a thing, I suppose. We could perhaps like have, you know, a question of the day. Do you think that? I could consider that perhaps. Could be a good idea. I'm not going to hate it too much, so I'm just going to clear out my inventory here, and then we're kind of going to call it a night. And yeah, again, this was fun. I think target for next week could be to make B-string, maybe, or maybe that's a bit ambitious, perhaps, given our low combat abilities, but we can always try. We got the coop up and running, at least. It shall be interesting to see if the chickens survive at all. Let's throw them some of the seeds we have as well. Actually, come to think of it. So yeah, this again, it was a lot of fun. I thought we got some good ideas to the list, like bee suit, combat animations, olive branch courier. I really like that one. Gems and purses, some good stuff there. So I think we certainly distilled some of the insights from the community and into actionable points that can be inflicted upon the game by a dev team near you sometime soon. Oh, there we go. Should probably have Amanda come clean my base up here. Organize it for me. Let's just dump all this nonsense into this. Let's dump that as well. All that crap. Dakan says, should I get calzone, sushi, or beer for dinner? I think, again, this is the same question as last stream. Like, why is the beer like a separate option? I think beer belongs with the other options more than, you know, in a category. You should get calzone. You should get sushi and beer. I think sushi and like a good Japanese beer, I think would be excellent for you if you can get there. Yeah, calamari, yeah, exactly. Let's see if there was anything here. Not really. Alright, so this was a lot of fun. Thank you guys for everything. Keep playing. I'll check. Man, this year has gone so fast. It's almost August. Shit's crazy. The older I get, time passes faster and faster. Domo arigato. Thank you very much for tonight. This was so much fun. I'll see you again in August. And keep playing. Keep posting on the CNI forums. Eventually I'll get there. I do occasionally browse the threads at least, even though I have my massive backlog of stuff that I at the start of the year said that I would be working diligently on, so I feel that I'm failing on that point. So I'm definitely going to try to do something better there, or improve my behavior at least. Beatings will continue until behavior improves, right? Isn't that true? Guys, take care so much love to all of you. It was so much fun doing this. It's always so much fun talking to y'all, and have a good evening. Enjoy the sushi. Take care of yourselves. Stay safe in-game and out-of-game. And yeah, I'll check you out in the August stream. I count on every last one of you to be here. Thought we had a peak of like 65 people roughly. So I count on all you 65 people will be here next time. Hopefully I will announce it in better time, and also not postpone it randomly. Blah 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 blah. So sayonara. Take care. Love y'all so much. I'm going to try to stop the recording without fubbing up the ending like I did last time. Good night, salve, peach, pax vobiscum, all the good stuff. Take care, guys. Sleep tight when you do. All my best. Bye.